Maamar Vata Tetzaveh. We are in the middle of Eis. No, we're up to Vav, Eis Vav. Okay. The Rebbe is explaining that through the love of Mesiras Nefesh, you accomplish more than they did by Matan Torah. But L'cheira, in the middle, he speaks about the Raya Mehemna, that Moshe Rabbeinu is Mamshech Emunah in a Pnimius. He brings down internalizes the Emunah. So, the Rebbe started explaining what it says based on what it's known. There's two reasons why a person has Emunah. One reason is because the neshama l'mayla sees Elokus, and that causes the neshama to have Emunah. But that Emunah is limited based on how much you see Elokus. How much you see Elokus, that's how much Emunah you have. But then there's a deeper level of Emunah because it is Elokus. In other words, the essence is that, and that's all over the place. And that's, he says, how do you come to this deeper level of Emunah? Through the level of Kosis. Okay, so now he says involved. The Inyan is okay. The Emunah that causes a Jew to have Mesiras Nefesh, because what causes a Yid to give up his life? It's the powerful Emunah. Who be'ika is primarily ba'amunah shemitzad etzem and neshama. The Emunah that comes from the essence of the neshama. That's not a reason causing it to happen. Why? The Emunah mitzad zeh shuraya. The level of Emunah, the lower level of Emunah, that comes because mazlayu chazid the neshama sees it. Hagam shebi take of gadol, even though it's very, very powerful. Kedua disamtus mitzad ariyah. The truthfulness that comes from Re'iyah, seeing, is amitis gedela b'yeh, is amtis is a much stronger, like we said, seeing is believing. Mikamakim, nevertheless, it's still not the perfect level. Given shamun shalei mitzat siba. The reason is because of a reason. Mitzat zeh because he sees a lukus. Veinik shura and etzem mitziyutzei. It's not necessarily connected to his very being, like the deeper Emunah, it's not a given that it'll be Meiser Nefesh, which means as follows. If there's external reason why I believe, because Mazlayu Chazi, that doesn't guarantee Mesiras Nefesh, because it's still not me. Why should I give me up for something that's external, causing me to happen? But if it is me, then I'm going to have Mesiras Nefesh. So the Rebbe is explaining this level that Golus causes through Kosis. You come to the level of more in the extent of Mesiras Nefesh, like in the days of Mordechai, whatever it was, that comes primarily from the Emunah. That's the essence of the neshama. He said, "V'zeh shamunah Yisrael hu be'efen shul meiser nafshel zeh." The emunah of a yid that causes Mesiras Nefesh. What level is that? B'nei shamunah balukus yatzim shalei. Because the emunah in halukus is his essence. If it is my essence, then it can't be any other way. Then I'm not going to give up my life, because my life, my essence is that level. Not he can't, I mean it's impossible for him to deny Elokus, because he is Elokus. You can't deny yourself. Okay, so now he says like this. The Rebbe is in the middle of explaining why the Friedrich Rebbe in the Maamar, after he speaks about Mesiras Nefesh of the Kibbul HaYehudim, before he gets to Kosis Lamor, he explains that there's a Moshe Rabbeinu Raya Mehem that feeds Emunah. And he says, why did he stick in there about Moshe Rabbeinu? Mesiras Nefesh causes Kosis. So he says, we can explain what the Friedrich Rebbe writes in the Maamar. This that Moshe Rabbeinu is Raya Mehemna, which means Shehuzon u'mefarnis samuna, not the faithful shepherd, but the shepherd of faith, It's not only about Moshe Rabbeinu that is said about him, but it's every Moshe Rabbeinu and Pashtus the Moshe B'chol Dor. What is the function of Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation? They strengthen the Amunah of a Yid to the extent that he's ready Yamdo b'Mesiras Nefesh b'Kiyam HaTorah Mitzvahs. In other words, not the Amunah that's Makif level causing it, but because it is the Nefesh. So what is the role of Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation? To reveal the essential Amunah that every Jew has because he is Elokus. That's the function of Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, in every generation, it has to be revealed in a different way. What was needed in Mesiras Nefesh in the time of Haman is not the same level of Mesiras Nefesh that the Rebbe is going to explain today. It's a different level of Mesiras Nefesh. He says, this that Moshe Rabbeinu feeds Amunah, like it says in many places. In this Maamar itself, how does Moshe Rabbeinu do it? How does he reveal the essence of the neshama of Amunah? He says, through this Shemashpil Yisrael, Das Belukus. How does Moshe Rabbeinu reveal the essence of the neshama? By giving Das to every in Elokus. That's how you internalize Amunah. The role of Moshe Rabbeinu, we learned already many times. In Shema it says, "V'nasati esav v'sochel v'emtecha v'chalto sevato." I will give das in the fields for your animals, v'chalto v'sevato. We say that in Shema, right? So the Midrashim ask, everybody asks, what do you mean Moshe Rabbeinu says, Dvar Moshe Rabbeinu spoke? It's not Hashem speaking. Moshe Rabbeinu speaks. Eila Dvar Mishadi B'Moshe, right? Moshe mipi atzmei amar. So the question is, how does Moshe Rabbeinu say, I give grass in the fields for your animals and you're going to eat and be full, when Hashem gives us? So the simple answer is, Shechina medaberes mitech greine shel Moshe. The Shechina speaks through the throat of Moshe Rabbeinu. So when Moshe Rabbeinu says I, it doesn't mean I. So you hear something in the microphone. It's not the microphone telling it to you. It's the person. You hear it through the microphone, but who's telling it to you? The person himself. So Chassidus explains, but what does it mean? When asati Esav b'satcha. So without getting into it now, Esav is ayin shin beis. Okay? So it's ab with a shin. So the level of 72, which we learned is one of the combinations of Hashem, is a level of das. And the letter shin is also the level of das. Whatever, three things, four things, whatever. So Esav represents das in Elukus, feeling Elukus. So what Moshe Rabbeinu says, what is my role? V'nosati Esav, I will give you das. Esav is das, whatever. Trust it, that's what it says in the books. I don't know myself what I'm talking about, but that's what it says in the books. Esav is das. Moshe Rabbeinu says, what is my role? To give das, besodcha levehemtecha, to those neshamas that are called zera behema. We learned. So the pasuk says, Zerati is Beis Yisrael, zera adam is zera behema. And Chassidus explains, there are neshamas that have on their own das in Elukus, they feel Elukus, they tzaddikim. And then there's zera behema. Behema ein lo das, the Gemara says. The Gemara says, Adam yesh b'ei das, person has das, behema ein lo das. The uniqueness of a person over an animal, that's why we learned. The first brach of Shemon Esrei, after the initial three, is Atochen L'Adam Das. Why is that the first bracha? Because that's what separates man from beast. We have das and they don't have das. So what happened? But they're neshamas of Yidden. They're called Zera Behema. That means, not pshat they don't have das, they're chilik alakam imal. But what it means is they don't feel the level of das. Now what does das mean? The Rebbe says in the third parak of Tanya, das is meloshin is kashvis is chabrus. Das is not a chochma and bina. Chachma and Bina is understanding. Das is feeling. That's the definition of das. You can know something is wrong and you'll do it anyway, because the knowledge is not felt, it's just knowledge. But if you feel it's wrong, then you're not going to do it. Right? It's Rashi and Chumash, whatever. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, there are those in the Shamas out there that are Zera Behema, they don't have das in Elokus. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, what is my role, my job? You're going to be full of Elokus. You're going to eat, digest Elokus. You're going to be full of Elokus. That's what it means in a much deeper sense. So he says, how is Moshe Rabbeinu revealed within the Jew? This Emunah mitzad etzem and neshama, because Moshe Rabbeinu reveals the level, because of them reveals in the Jew, the level, not only do they understand Elokus, but they have das, they feel Elokus. And when you feel Elokus, you are one with what you feel. Normally, I'm not going to feel your pain, because I'm not one with you. But if I would be one with you, the way it's supposed to be, then I would feel your pain. You know, a person that's you love very deeply, and so you feel their pain. Not what people say, oh, I feel your pain. That's bum-mices, lying and everything. When you actually feel the pain, that's a whole different story. So Moshe Rabbeinu reveals the level of das, hargosh, feeling of Elokus, and that's how he reveals that the neshama is Elokus. He says, here, Aidei shemeshpir das li Yisrael, shaidei zeh ba'amunim b'pnimis, v'zeh shirei Yisrael shebechol dor. That's the function of Moshe Rabbeinu's in every generation. The mechazke me'amuna, like he explained in this Maamar, well, like he quotes in 36 in Tanya, Yarden nitzutze minishmas Moshe Rabbeinu, in Perek Mem Beis, Lalami das esam. He just quotes from Tanya. Moshe Rabbeinu and the Neshama come down to teach people das. Shamun et Yaba'ef in the Mesiras Nefesh. Valpi anal Yishlemer. Based on this, we can understand why the Friediger Rebbe sticks in about Moshe Rabbeinu, because he speaks about the Mesiras Nefesh of Mordechai's time, okay, and that's why it's even greater than Matan Torah. And he says through Kasis you come to Maamar. But in order to come to Maamar, that's through Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's why he sticks about Moshe Rabbeinu, because the one that can cause the Maamar revelation through Kasis is Moshe Rabbeinu. It says based on this that the primary function of a Raya Mehemna, the Shuzan Umafinas says Amuna Atzma, that he feeds Amuna. Not Amuna that Amuna should be learned, not because it's caused by seeing Elokus. Because of etzem of the neshama. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu reveal? Moshe Rabbeinu reveals the Yechidah Shebenefesh of every single Jew. We learned many times, it is a Chassidim say, that we have a private audience with a Rebbe, it's Yechidus. In Hebrew, Yechidus means private audience. Yechid, Yochid, you know. But based on a recent Yom Yom that the Rebbe writes, the first Yechidus of a person with the Rebbe is the key. The Rebbe gives him already a derech in Avodas Hashem, yeah? I mean, that's when you go in like prepared, not like I am here, you know, whatever. So by Chassidim they say, why is it called Yechidus? Yechidus is the plural of Yechidah. By a Rebbe, his Yechidah is always revealed. By a Rebbe, Gilei Etzem Neshama, it's always revealed. His Yechidah Shemenafesh is revealed constantly. If a person goes into a Rebbe properly prepared, not I am here, you know, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years of preparation, of those Siddim preparation. Okay, you can imagine what it was. And you go into the Rebbe reveals your Yechidus Shebenefesh. And that's why it's called Yechidus, because the Rebbe's Yechida is revealing your Yechida, which is the level of Yechidus. That's the way, or we said many times also, there's a very nice Peilah Shavart. In the beginning of Mishpatim it says about an Eved, in Begapa Yaveh, Begapa Yetzi. If he comes in himself, you can't give him a wife, right? Like this, the master, you can give him a shiksa to reproduce more slaves. Yeah? So it says, in Begapa Yaveh, Begapa Yetzi. In Baal Isho, V'yotzi Yishteme. If you come alone, meaning you're not married, you go out married. There's no, you can't give you. In Baal Isho, if you're a man with a wife, then Yotzi Ishteme, your wife goes out because the husband has to support your wife during the duration of the. So Chassidim say, Pelish Chassidim say, that's a chassid going into a Rebbe. In Begapa Yavai, if you go into the Rebbe with your goof, hi, I'm here, goof, body. Begapa Yetzi, you're going to go out the same way you went in. In Baal Ishahu, if you're a man with a fire, Eish, if you're a man with a fire, then Yotze Ishtai Ima, you're going to go out with the Rebbe's fire with you. It's the same concept of Yechidas. So that's the function of Moshe Rabbeinu, is primarily to be Mamshech Das, which causes the feeling of Elokus, which causes the Gil of the Etzem and Neshama.
But either you go prepare or not prepare, Rebbe, to give you.
No. Go in like, when I was a kid, I was a bacher, probably 14, 15 years old, and went to the mikveh in New York. There were two old Pelish Chassidim. They taught me things. I happened to be in the water at the same time, a good hot mikveh. You stick around for a while, you soak a little bit. Like the meat, you have to soak it before you kosher it. Anyway, so one guy said to the next, in Yiddish, he said, yeah, I understand, we go to the mikveh. Well, what do we get? Do we feel holier by going to the mikveh? I mean, what do we do? So the other one says, when you wash an animal, it's still an animal, but it's a clean animal. He says, we go to the mikveh, we're a bunch of behemoths anyway, but at least, it's a clean behemoth, not a dirty behemoth. So again, a Rebbe does it, but again, it's not going to internalize.
I know, but he could do it. Like either you understand.
But if you don't internalize it, it's not your doing. If I give you money, you're not rich. I made you rich. I gave it to you. It's not your doing.
We have numerous stories that they found in front that they had no idea what it is.
Correct.
And the Rebbe changed them.
Correct.
How did he do that?
But eventually they had to make a keli.
They didn't.
Sometimes there comes, listen. It says, there's an expression that by the Alter Rebbe, it's gewalget nisem unter den Tisch und keines sich nicht eingebeugen zu Seilfäden. Which means, in the Alter Rebbe's times, there are miracles rolling on the floor. Under the table, there are miracles rolling galore. And nobody bothered to bend down to pick them up. Okay? In Chabad, Bachlal, I know today's Chabad is different than the initial Chabad. Chabad never cared about miracles. Why? For somebody to do a miracle, to perform a miracle, as we usually expect, there would have to be one tefach, one handbreadth higher than the world. You're a little bit higher than the world, you can do miracles already, right? But Chabad Chassidus is Alevcha Chochma Alevcha Bina, 2,000 ames higher than world. Learning Chassidus, Chochma and Bina, Chabad, it's Alevcha Chochma Alevcha Bina, 2,000 ames. In other words, it's not a miracle as one tefach. This is infinitely greater. So Chassidim said, why am I going to deal with pennies if I can get $100 bills? I'm going to bend down to pick up about a few pennies. They say, how you start a Jewish parade? You roll a penny down the street and everybody follows. They say it about the Hungarians, they say it about the Persians, they say it about the Jews, whatever it is, it is. Bottom line is, the Chassidim never bothered because it was petty. So why did the Rebbe do miracles? It's a much higher level. Because sometimes the person they were dealing with wasn't ready for that. So they had to need like a beam of light, a miracle. And that miracle caused it to happen. So that's why they did it. Not that when it was needed to be done, not because that's the primary inyan. When it was needed to be done, they did it.